Hello, all the crazy people out there. My name is Michael. I like wizards and dragons and making games. We now have the ability to die in this here Bullet Hell game. Did it really take me until 13 videos into this to mess that up? 14 if you count episode 0. Whatever. So that's what we did last time. We implemented some nice you died, and also, if you're better at this game than I am, you win screens. And today, it's going to be more menu stuff. There's going to be an awful lot. Okay, that's a bug. I should probably fix that straight off the bat. We're going to be implementing more menu stuff. And that is going to take the form of a settings menu, because I'd like to get that squared away before I do anything else. So, yeah, bug in that you can pause the game on the you died, you win screen. So I should probably write a little bit of code to disallow that. This is going to be a little bit spaghetti, but in the pause function, if this is not equal to an empty string, so if you are showing an end of level screen, return. Let me just real quick check to make sure that that is fixed. That should be a one-line fix. It takes surprisingly long to die in this game because there is like a second of iframe, and that means that you have to actually take hits for a little while before you can... Alright, good. Escape key no longer pauses the game. Fun. So having closed Discord with its distracting notification thing, yeah, settings menu. What we are doing today is going to be a lot of this. I don't know how much for sure is actually going to be implemented in this video versus next video. I definitely like to get the UI up and running. Whether or not things like the allowable window sizes are implemented by the time this video is finished remains to be seen. Let's see. I might dedicate a separate video to the back end. So if I were to duplicate the pause menu once again, duplicate layer UI underscore pause underscore settings. I'll just call that UI underscore settings. Once again, as was the case with Bombardier, this is probably going to be shared between like the main menu and between actual gameplay, so that I don't have to essentially have this in here twice. Let's get going. So this can be a text label, settings. What are some common ones? Screen size is an extremely common one. I think the way that I did that in Bombardier was, let me actually make the X grid 32 and maybe make this wider. There was like a plus button, a minus button, and just a text label in the middle. And they did things. This one can be plus, and not 6 plus, just plus. The text label in the middle simply just showed the screen size. If I were to... What is in programmer art stuff? Oh, that's like everything. Everything is in programmer art stuff. That's right. I forgot. UI text. And this is going to be, what is it for text labels? Is it get text? Yeah, okay, get text. That is going to be self.text is going to equal string window get width plus an x plus string. This is where GameMaker workspaces really do get annoying, honestly, is the room editor window get height. Is that the right number of parentheses? I think it is. And then all these other things, full screen can be a toggle. The frame rate is going to be another thing like this. Once again, these do not have any on-clicks. I will implement on-clicks probably soon. For now, just a plus or minus button. creation code for you can be FPS plus string. And instead of just like using the straight up FPS value, because that will depend on like if your game is actually hitting the target frame rate, game get speed, game speed FPS. All right, next, let me open Bombardier, and let me just like look at what was in its menu, and let me just like steal what was in its menu. Hang on. Oh, it would be so nice to just like have made a default settings menu that I can just carry between not only this game but also other ones that I might make in the future that might have similar settings. Anyway, we have the screen resolution. We have the frame rate. That is a list of preset frame rates. You can't just enter like any old random number. There is the scale for the quality of what's being drawn in the background. Should you be running this on, for example, a Raspberry Pi or some other such device that is a little bit on the underpowered side, there's a full screen on versus off button. Particle density, volume. Did I specifically put down like separate volumes for music, master volume, and sound effects? I did. All right. Language. If you're interested in that, Pirate Speak is my test language. It's funny and all to have like, I don't know, sail the seas or whatever as your text for start game, but it's actually stops being funny pretty quickly. So Pirate Speak is just like my test language. I will get more into that eventually. That will probably not ship with any actual final game. Unfortunately, I am monolingual. So let me just move that over there so I can look at it when I forget what I want to have. There's also, and I can at this point I can just duplicate these buttons. The scale. This can also be TBA for now. Again, I will just lay out the menu first. Hopefully I can get around to actually implementing the settings in this video, but no promises quite yet. Full screen. Do buttons have a get text? Remind me, Game Maker, why are your workspaces like this? Okay, this is update, and you do have something that's sort of like a get text. The way that this text is going to be like defined, by the way, is going to change a little bit in the future when I get to localization. But for now, it can stay this way. I am kind of making a bit more work for my future self because I am going to need a way to like identify and use localized text strings, but we'll burn that bridge when we have to. Self.text is going to be full screen plus window get full screen question mark on colon off. Good old conditional operators. I guess I might as well, while I'm here, on click. This is an easy one to implement. And I will finish laying this out before I test that. Particle density. The particles, at least as far as particles in this game go, are going to be the bullets, and it's going to be like one visual particle per bullet. So a particle density setting kind of doesn't make that much sense. There may well be settings to turn out the bullet density itself, but that will be a gameplay setting, like when you like start a level or something like that, and not just a graphical setting. This game is not going to have just particle effects the way that Bombardier did. And in any case, if we do anything like that, we will be using the GameMaker particle system, which is much less expensive than SPart is. So, I guess in place of that, I did want to have separate volume controls for sound effect, music master, and the yeah, those three things, and then language. We will fill that in later. And then we just need a back button. All right, this is barely fitting on the screen here. I'll move it up in a minute. Oh, and also, we can implement this as an on-click pretty easily as well. This is going to be... And I'd kind of like, the more this goes on, the more I'd kind of like to move this pause screen and end of level screen or whatever into the UI manager. But I might not, because that is kind of specific to this game. And I want the UI manager to be general UI stuff, like the actual management, like collecting it into layers and whatever. Anyway, the back button can be implemented. Let me just grab all this. Hello? Settings. Let me just grab all this. Let me move you up into the actual middle. Like that. It's not exactly the middle because it's like 16 pixels too short, but it's good enough. And I can hear the ambient background music of Bombardier just looping because I have this open on the other screen right now. This was, okay, FPS, I think I did up to full screen. What is that? Main volume, master volume. And this can be volume for music, and we can also have volume for effects. And lastly, this is the language label, right? Okay. So that is the settings UI. Let me just make the actual settings button and the regular pause menu actually go here. That would be this one, I believe. On click, pause screen that we're looking at is going to be UI_settings. All right. None of the things are actually going to do anything now except for full screen. If I go into settings, horrendous. Yeah, okay, wow. BRB. The longer I do this and the more used I get to how this pause system works, like the more annoying and also embarrassing it is when I screw up the button alignment, but also the funnier it gets. Alright, so the back button works, full screen works, although it's not being captured by OBS. There it goes. Took a moment. The UI on the side is like kind of doing its own thing. I should probably find a way to like extend that downward a little bit. How does this play in full screen, by the way? Okay, so we have like, yes, the application surface. Yeah, okay. Let's not do that. Settings, full screen off, please. And thank you. So at least it looks the way that it should. Let's see. Laid out the settings menu. Can I at least knock off the settings menu? Something that I'm, oops, yeah, 15, give that 15. Something that I'm noticing especially for log work, this button, for like the UI stuff, is that I'm actually like overestimating the point value for a lot of these items. At least, again, these points that I've assigned everything to doesn't really translate into anything real like hours or minutes or whatever, or anything like that. they're really how much work I expect each item to be relative to all the other items. So I expect things that are like 10 points to be about as hard as all the other 10-point items. Maybe hard is not the right word, but take about the same amount of work. And I'm not doing this on purpose, I swear, but for some of the things that are like the buttons on the UI, I'm kind of overestimating them because I kind of assigned them values assuming that there would be a little bit of a cost to switching contexts. Like I would have to take a minute to stop thinking about what I was doing last and to start thinking about what I'm going to do next and to maybe describe it or something like that. But that hasn't really been the case, especially for the simpler ones, like game UI score is basically the same as health, the wave timer, and all those other things. So I really probably could have lumped all those together into like one thing. And the settings options may not be like that exactly because I will have to do a little bit to like write window size management code and that kind of thing, but hopefully I can go through this a little bit quicker. For example, BGM volume, master volume, sound effect volume, those are all, those should go into like a single like settings value somewhere and just be a variable assignment and be done with it. On the subject of that, I am going to make essentially just a global variable, a singleton, besides the game controller. I'm going to call it settings. We're just going to assign that to a global variable, not like that. A global variable like this with a slightly less appealing name. And this is going to have a few things. This is not exactly how I did it in Bombardier, but not trying to force everything into a single struct makes this a little bit more flexible. We can have one sub-object for audio. This can be master 1. Volumes are going to be 0 to 1 and not 0 to 100. BGM 1, SE 1. And let's see, the labels. The labels are going to be volume for music is going to be string of settings dot audio dot BGM times 100 plus a %sign. Master volume is going to be pretty much the same. Like this. And sound effect volume is also going to be pretty much the same. Did I actually rename the first label? I did. The value that we're reading was not updated. Okay. And then the buttons can be a simple matter of creation code on click is going to equal a function of let's see, due to floating point noise, I can't just say settings.audio.master minus equal 0.01 because floating point imprecisions will make subtracting 1/100th get a little weird after a while because that is a number that cannot be perfectly represented by a float. So instead I'm going to say settings.audio.master is going to be equal to 1, the max of 0, because I don't want volume to be able to go below 0, and the existing volume times 100 minus 1, and then all this divided by 100. Actually, let's go minus 10, because I think increments of 10% will make more sense. And I'll leave this up, just in case I got it wrong, although I don't think I did, but in the other one, the plus button can be a min of 100, and this, no, rather a min of 1, and this value times 100 plus 10 divided by 100. All right, speaking of getting things wrong, okay. The first one was fine. 0 was 0 no matter what scale you're using. All right, this obviously won't really make anything happen, but we do have a plus button, that goes up to 100% and a minus button. Okay, and what exactly... Oh yeah, that's right, volume is just a single word here. It doesn't get subcategories, so... Maybe I should I expand this a little bit? Should I expand this menu sideways a little bit? Yeah, I'll expand the menu sideways a little bit. First, audio BGM. Alright, again, tedious work. If I move this over like 1, the other bounds over 2. These buttons I can move over to the side. And let me resize the rest of these. Okay, this should be approximately the right shape. The plus and minus button should work for the rest of the volumes. Alright, master works. You can go down to 0, you can go up to 100. You can go down to 0 and no further. You can go up to 100 no further. Okay. The volume buttons work. I do want to check something. Did I... In Bombardier... That's not the game class. When, like, this changes... Okay, so there is an apply volume. Okay, I should include something like this. If you don't mind me copying and pasting, I should include something like this. I will need to reformat it a little bit so that it really works with structs. So audio master gain self.master, and I seem to have stored it from 0 to 100 in Bombardier instead of from 0 to 1. This is... Can I say audio set emitter gain? Okay. Audio set group gain and audio set master gain. The only one I'll do is audio set master gain. When I get around to applying sound effects to the game, I will look back into this. However, I will also need to, in each of these 6 buttons, creation code, settings.audio apply volume, and audio is a capital A. And I'm just going to need to add this line of code to each of these 6 plus and minus buttons. Okay, so that will allow me to knock off these, the actual, like, the in-depth implementation of these things. Did I drag in the right ones? I did. The actual in-depth implementation of those things will, maybe be a story for another time. Full screen I actually did already. Let's see, frame rate, window size. I'll do frame rate next. Can I maximize this? Put that in this tab group. Video. Frame rate. This can default to like 60. I can say the default frame rates will be, let's say 30, 60. What are other common ones? Is 90 hertz a thing? I only have 60 hertz monitors. Frame rates and frame rate index. All right, 30, 60, 120, and 144 were the ones that I did last time. I'll do that again. 120, 144. That should keep the PC gamers happy for a while. Frame rate index, I guess I'll do the same as before. Gonna be 1, default to 60 FPS. I won't keep full screen as an option in here because that is literally just a single true false that is stored by the Windows state anyway when you save or load. That is not considered to be a super interesting setting, at least not by me, not from a code perspective. apply frame rate function game set speed game speed FPS self dot default frame rates index self dot frame rate index, and that'll be it for that one. So now the I believe it's this one. This is the text label, right? That is the text label. Let's see. All of these plus and minus buttons are going to look sort of like each other. Settings dot video dot frame rate index is going to be max of 0, and instead of doing this complicated math expression, this can just be -1, and that really can be stored on one line like this. Apply FPS. What did I call it? Actually, let's go with apply FPS. And then the other button, we will reverse the mins and the maxes, and the max allowable value will be array length settings.video.default frame rates -1, so that we go to the max index and then apply the FPS. Okay, so if I go here, the game is going to crash. Okay, that's cool. Why is frame rate index crashing? I'm trying to do like audio.frame rate index, aren't I? Yeah, alright. Go me. Take 2. FPS is 60. I can set that to 0, apparently. That's very cool. And if I set it to anything higher, we are getting an array index out of bound. Where does that come from? Alright, 1, why is it getting set to 0? How is that even allowed? 1. Was it when I... Hang on. One issue that I can see happening is I think this is still -1. Yeah, this should be +1. Because we're going up, but... Video.framerate index... I don't know. Why was that getting set to 0? At least we shouldn't try to go, like, in the negative anymore. Yeah, that's not allowed. If I click plus, nothing happens. I have so many questions. The time is a negative. Never mind. Let's close the game before my computer explodes. How did I do that? Hang on. What is the value of this? This is the first truly bizarre bug that I found in this game so far. Alright, that should be 30. Going up should be 60, 120, 144, and then that's it. Is there something funny going on with game set speed? Oh, it's the other way around. I think I got hung up on this the first time too. It should be game speed FPS and then... no, it should be the value and then game speed FPS. Like, I legitimately have no idea how that was not instantly crashing. Okay, FPS 30, 60, 120, 144, even though higher values for me are not really going to do anything because my monitor is only 60 hertz. Okay, all is well in the world. We have implemented an FPS setting. We can go kick that one off. Oh, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't. Because it says should not affect gameplay, and clearly it was. I think I'm going to need to implement something resembling delta time. Did I? Is everything delta timed? Hang on. Bullet. X plus equals X speed. That does not appear to be delta time. Do I have anything like DT? Did I... This is a macro for 1 over game. Okay, so that's the correct value. Hang on, let me... This video is going to be super long, I'm sorry. Let me just go through and make sure everything, all the velocities are like at least fake delta timed. And all the timers and everything. Alright, you know what an actual easier way to test that would be is if I were to just like set the frame rate up to like 144 and see if the game plays in double time. Ooh, we were playing in like frozen time. That's kind of cool, but also like the opposite of what I wanted. At least the bullets are moving in frozen time. Game get speed, game speed FPS. That's what the actual game's actual delta time value says. That should be like 16. Yeah, that should be, oh god. About 16,000 by default. Oh, you know what that is? X speed and Y speed were being initialized. Initialized to default shot velocity 6. This needs to be 360 if I want to have it scale. All right. Common mistake. All right. So everything that wasn't delta timed before, and there were actually a few things. Even though I'm pretty sure I was supposed to have taken care of that before. Anyway, everything that wasn't before is now. If I were to resume the game, things are still happening at the same speed as before, which is good. And there's one thing that may be slightly different, at least right now, and that is that the deceleration on the pickups may be... The damping may be faster at higher frame rates. I won't say it may be faster at higher frame rates. The damping will be faster at higher frame rates. Because that is not delta timed. Deceleration, basically derivatives, like rates of change with delta time automatically suck, which is why a lot of people would make the argument that you just like shouldn't use a variable time step. But that sounds like a good problem for future me. Okay. Now I can check this off. Great. Recording has been going on for 48 minutes. I will make an attempt to not make these videos longer, getting longer and longer the way that Bombardier was. Sorry. Okay, you know what? Languages, I'm gonna implement a language like backend. Well, not the backend, but the settings. This is gonna look a lot like the frame rate, except I won't actually have an apply function to go with this. This is just going to be default languages. All right, that's the array. Language index can be 0. English. Again, that is my test language. That is not something that is really intended to be in the final thing, unless I can actually find a way to make it funny and not annoying. All right, the setting is gonna work like this. This is the increase frame rate button. The increase language button is going to be settings.language.language rate index.language index. And the array is going to be settings.languages. And on the minus side, max of 0 and the existing setting -1. Should I have it like cycle over to the beginning? Settings, English, pirate speak. No, you're not working. Oh, you know what? That's because That's because we weren't actually doing anything. We weren't actually drawing that value. All right, that should be a lot easier. All right, cool. I will have it cycle around now instead of stopping at the beginning. So this can be this value -1 plus the array length mod +1 -1 plus the max value, mod the max value is a handy way to quickly allow something to wrap around. That is something I do fairly often. So here we'll do the exact same thing, but +1, and since we're already increasing, we don't need the array length, the second array length in there. This should work the same. Settings. All right, that toggle works. If you were to add a third language, it would still work. Based on some modulo operators, you may also not need the -1 plus array length. The mod function may work correctly in some programming environments. I don't know if GameMaker is one of those, and I also would rather just type it out and not have to figure it out whether or not it breaks, because the mod doesn't work the same with negative numbers as I think it does. Anyway. Menu, language, the language option in the menu is done. We will get to implementation for languages some other day. And the last one is, oh, you know what? There's also the resolution scale I have to do. I did not put that down here in a task card. Default scales, we can say scale index apply scale, and this can be just a set of fractions. So I think 0.25 was what Bombardier went down to. Would not recommend, since this game being able to see what you're doing is a little more important. I think I'll make the minimum default really 0.75, and then maybe 0.885, 90, 95, and then 100. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. From here, we should just be able to display settings.video.default scales. I'm also realizing right now that there should probably be an active value for all of these things. All right, this video is going to be long anyway. I'll get to that eventually. Frame rate value can be 60. Like this. Like that, and then instead of drawing the index or whatever it was, we can actually draw the value. And the same for the FPS. Oh, that's automatically done. All right, I'll keep the frame rate value here for when. Oh, this needs to be a colon. For when we get to loading settings from files. So if the user wants to just punch in their own weirdo some other value for their target frame rate, they can, and the game won't die. Same for the other settings. And lastly, default screen sizes can be an array of structs this time being x can be, let's say 1280. Actually, it doesn't really work very well below below 1366, 768, but I will let you go higher. So what's another one? 1600, 900. I do like that screen size for some reason. 1920, 1080. Actually, since I have the cheat sheet up here. Okay, 256, 144 was the last one. Cannot demo that here because my monitor is only, my biggest monitor is only 1080. But it's there if you want it. And then scale index can be 0. Scale value can be a struct. Self dot, oh wait, size index and size value. Size value dot x is going to need to be and we'll copy the values, we won't copy the references. Alright, this is not going to be at the end of the story as the same way that, for example, apply scale is not the end of the story, because I want to wait until I get around to graphical things before I mess with graphical settings, because it'll be easier to tell what's going on when I actually have things on the screen rendering through a camera besides placeholder art. To those of you who maybe missed this earlier, it might sound weird to have like a canvas scale, resolution scale, whatever, for a 2D bullet hell game, and that is going to be there because by the end of this game it is not going to be 2D. It is going to be drawn through a 3D camera. Ortho or perspective, haven't made up my mind yet. Probably ortho, and like that'll actually be a noticeable difference. Visually, this is not going to be nearly as heavy as Bombardier was. We are certainly not going to be like crunching hundreds of thousands of triangles every frame. But just in case anything goes catastrophically wrong, and maybe, I don't know, maybe there are a lot of triangles being drawn in the background or something, we can turn that down. It would probably make sense, to be honest, to have a different scale for the background and the foreground. I might do that. Feature self, put a little pin in that. Backlog. Let's create a task. I'll have to remember to come back to that later. Doing it shouldn't be difficult, but remembering to do it, and not just like forgetting that it's there, forgetting that I have extra tasks in the backlog maybe. So, is that all of these things? Oh no, you know what? I still need to actually attach the. All right, that's fine. I still need to actually attach the code to make the buttons happen to any of these. No, not values. Video size index apply. Did I give that one a function? Apply screen size. Okay, and then we will have a mirror on the plus button, and that should be it for the at least like attaching all these buttons to something. Min array length len gt h settings dot video dot default screen sizes -1, and then +1 on the other end. All right, so we should at least have things happening here. If I were to pause the game, settings. This button does something. This button does something. The scale does not do anything. Oh, do I need to attach the scale plus and minus buttons to something also? I might. These behave. This behaves. All right, 1600 by 900. Again, the UI is a little bit wrong. The application surface has not been resized. Not desirable, but the code at least works, and I'm not allowed to go higher than that. At least, like, I am, but it's weird because I don't have enough space. I think 1131 is, like, the because I have my monitor slightly offset, like the difference between like the top of the one monitor and the bottom of the other. Or it's the span between the top of the one and the bottom of the other, rather. It's weird. Don't do that. You do at your own risk. Let's see. I also said the scale buttons. Alright, you all probably don't want to see me typing creation code into a bunch of buttons for the millionth time today, so we'll cut that out. And no, settings. Alright, these are appropriate. Oh, also, I said with the understanding that the background and the foreground are gonna probably get different scaling options. That's fine. Okay. That Kamoji face is approximately what I feel after doing that. So we've done at least like the front end for all the settings in the game. Back end still waiting. Window size, okay, fine. Some of those were not cards on this to-do list, but that's all right. Like I said, later on, I'm definitely thinking that once there are actually models in there, I will need to go back and like revisit some of those things to make sure that they all work the way I want them to, but for now it's good enough. This is where we are. That was worth a lot of that was worth a lot of points. Those settings menus, and it did take over an hour of real time. Hopefully I'll be able to cut that down to like 35 minutes in video time. Let's see, how are we shaping up overall? All right, 40%, not bad. Almost halfway there. Hopefully well over 50% of this game, of the development time for this game can be actually creating content, because that's the fun part. I know I've spent a lot of time in menus lately, but I want to be done with the menus as soon as possible. Or at the very least, I want to do all the menus now and be done with them and not have to think about them ever again. Realistically, I'm going to have to think about them again in the future at a couple points, but I want to do the majority of worrying about them right now. So next time, I'm going to need to make a main menu, which is a separate like game context from actual gameplay mode. I'm gonna need a title screen, a main menu. There's probably gonna be an actual title screen that isn't also the main menu in this game. Bombardier, there are one and the same, but I think I'd like to actually have like a press start to start or something like that before you go to the main menu this time. Something a little bit fancier. There's also gonna be level select player upgrades, or at least like space on the screen for player upgrades. Settings, which should just hook into the settings menu that I already did. Main menu, quit the game. I do want to have some form of collectibles menu, at least space on the screen for one right now. As I said, pause, state, resume game. I forgot to check that one off. That was at the bottom of the list. I don't know why that was at the bottom of the list, but I forgot about it. Anyway, that's what we're doing next time. We'll see if I can knock it off all in one day. Maybe, maybe not. But that's going to do it for today. If you want the code for this, look for the GitHub repository down in the video description. Look for the 0.13 release if you're interested in today's work. I have a Patreon, so if you want to contribute towards these videos being made, look for the links to that in all the usual places. You could see some fun things like your name in the credits. You could hear a verbal shout out of yourself at the end of every video. If you wanted to pledge, I definitely would appreciate it. Otherwise, I try to post about 2 game dev videos a week, one of these and one tutorial. So if you're interested in any of that, feel free to subscribe. I hope you all enjoyed that, and I will see you all later. Special thanks to Zenjamin, Then Nothing Happened, Squarecrow, Sindra Larson, Posho, Gunnar Clovis, Game Maker, Edward Holt, DJ Gibbles, and Army Armbruster for supporting these videos. If you want to see your name in the credits or hear yourself shouted out at the end like this, head on over to the Patreon page down in the video description to join the fun.